Ezekiel Elliott playing center on the last play of the game. They had to play center. They started running back. They had to play center. Hey, Commanders Nation, it's your boy Hog Farmer Keith from the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. Before you start listening to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, check out our Amazon Smile, a simple and easy way to support the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation every time you shop, and it costs absolutely nothing to you.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast. We got DT, we got CeeLo, and I am Deuce. We coming to you on this NFC divisional round playoff game. We're not going to test your patience too much. It's almost halftime, but DT, what's good, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Got a good game going on right now while we're doing the podcast. So might as well talk about Commanders than Dallas Cowboys, man.
CeeLo, what's good, man? Sound you got a house full of Cowboy fans, man.
Man, it's painful out here, bro. It's painful. They feel real good right now, so I'm hoping 49ers can pull it out. But yeah, it hasn't been a real competitive playoff weekend if you think about it, man. So kind of a strange weekend if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. On the other side of this, man, we're going to talk about that secret budget meeting. Looked like they did have the meeting. They nobody know about it. And we're going to do some position grades. We're also going to talk about Ed Reed and HBCU after this. We'll be right back.
Welcome to DC. You know we're at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly. I'm taking it slightly. Now you throw at them, you won't be right back. Well, we gon' be right here. We gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
So it looks like they did have a meeting. Looked like it was a secret meeting. We didn't know that they had a meeting. Ben Standard came out, I believe it was yesterday, about the meeting that they did have. And from that meeting, from his report, from what he wrote, he made it seem like it's going to be a long off season. We're going to be strapped for money. Like Dan Snyder's going to hold a lot of that, a lot of those funds close to the vest. DT, what was your first impression when you heard they had the meeting? Off season might not be so fun.
First heard about it, I kind of felt like in a way it was going to be kind of secretive this week, especially all the things that's literally going to happen this offseason with ownership up in the air and some of the players that you're trying to re-sign and things like that, and what you're going to do at the most important position, quarterback. So not surprised that they already held a meeting, but I'm just interested in the discussions, not only on the players thing, but the staff. I mean, we just now seeing that one of our guys, Chris Harris, he's been sought out for years. He's looking at a new opportunity more than likely when the pen hits on paper for the Tennessee Titans job. And I think those are going to be some things that we talked about, especially with the Jack Del Rio and obviously searching for an offensive coordinator.
CeeLo, how do you feel like it, man? I already kind of think it's going to be a grim off season. Especially like for me, it kind of depends on what we do at OC. If we keep Zampese, and especially with Payne, if we decide not to tag him or sign him, I think it's going to be a very hard off season. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, I think we'll know a lot as we hone in on this offensive coordinator role, and of course, the Chris Harris is the Chris Harris, right? The Chris Harris role.
Yeah.
Do they? Some teams will just go ahead and pay a guy a little bit more money, change their title. will they be open to doing something like that? If they aren't, that'll tell you a little bit about either, number one, how they feel about Chris Harris, or number two, the cash strap portion of it, right? Because coaching salaries don't count against the cap, so nothing to do, with the cap. That's more about how much cash he's willing to spend. So I agree with both y'all, man. It's going to be interesting in the early part of this offseason to figure out. It'll tell you where we're going to go. So I think that's what that's what we're going to pay attention to.
Yeah, man, it's going to be crazy because I think a lot this next week, right? I think after this week, we're going to start seeing some head coaching signings. And once we start seeing that, seeing like the dominoes is going to begin to fall with OC jobs and things of that nature. But with us, if we is doing this extensive search, right? DT, do you think it's just a show doing this extensive search? I mean, we have reports of college and experienced coaches, young OCs, like all different types of things. We went into this pool, and if we all of a sudden just hire Zampese, do you think that was all for show? Because I don't even know, do they got to pay for these guys to have these in? I mean, I know they ain't flying nobody in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but eventually, man, you got. I think for Ron and his company, he has to think what's best for the team, and obviously, the Zampese thing, it doesn't scream improvement to me. This is the guy that I've been very stand firm that this guy, he wants to be a quarterback coach because that's all he really loves to do. When he had an opportunity to show can he be offensive coordinator, it kind of left some bad taste in the mouth in Cincinnati. So new blood is needed. You're gonna have to pay for that new blood in that locker room, in that office, and things like that. There's a lot of guys that know Ron, and we all know that. There's a lot of guys from his past. It's some guys that have some familiarity with what Ron wants to do. And it's just a tough situation knowing that ownership is, well, okay, I got Ron for 1 year. I'm going to see what he can do in this 1 year. And the expectation is probably going to be you have to at least win a playoff game, at least get to the divisional round. I understand, people just want to get in the playoff. No, we haven't won a playoff game since almost a decade, since 2005. So that's a lot of expectations going in this offseason, especially with the question marks we have.
Yeah, so CeeLo is like you mentioned, there's been reports of Chris Harris. From the tweet, said they are planning to hire him, so they haven't actually hired him. And I think it's a play, right, to get those interested teams that might want to look at him a defensive coordinator to make a decision, and or for the Commanders make a decision add the passing game coordinator to the title. It's not just the title, it's a responsibility, and that'll help him for his head coaching endeavor. So he probably is just putting pressure on everyone. Look, he either wants to be here or he wants to be a defensive coordinator somewhere. So if we lose him, what does that say to the organization, especially how we're going to go about this offseason?
I think it'll just say that we probably, it's actually kind of a good thing in a sense. We attracted Chris Harris to Washington. He's performed very well, given the folks that the players that he's been offered the opportunity to coach and teach up, and they performed pretty well, right, in the short period of time he's been here. So great for him. Maybe Ron's doing the right thing. So hey, man, you need to go out there and go do your thing as you climb the ladder, because maybe right now, we don't see a immediate future for him, given where he wants to be. Now money talks, so we'll see if that plays a factor. But also, if we remember, I believe Jack Del Rio is also not under contract or won't be under contract once the season ends. So what is that? How does that play into all of this, right? Do they play this out to where maybe Jack is thinking about some other moves, and then they're going to wait and swoop in with Chris Harris as being a coordinator? You never know. So I think a couple things on the table. And lastly, I think that, this offseason is really going to be intriguing when it comes to these coaching positions, because like we all said, it's kind of a no man's land. It's kind of in purgatory right now because of the ownership situation. So I'm really curious to see what how this plays out as far as the coordinator, both the coordinator position and then the defensive coordinator, the defensive backs position. So yeah, man, I think it says they think highly of Chris Harris, but given everything I just stated, it may just be the best for Chris to move on while he's given the opportunity.
You wanted to follow up, DT? Looked like you wanted to follow up.
Yeah, so I was thinking like if we're already picturing this as like a lame duck, just an average season for right. So are you just going to get a coordinator just to coordinate offense, or are you going to get a guy that's going to coordinate and have potential to be a head coaching candidate or a highly priced OC candidate for the next crop of guys that's looking for something like that? And what else are we looking at for the defensive coordinator? Like, are we talking about Del Rio retiring or leaving, or who's going to be the next defensive back coach? Maybe a guy that's been an assistant for a while. Like, what are these question marks that we're trying to gather up, and we need answers?
Yeah, man. It's gonna be pretty interesting this next week, for sure. On the other hand, we're gonna go over some position grades for the offense for each position, and also on defense. So that's gonna be kind of fun right after this break.
Hi, I'm Christian Miles, native Washingtonian and real estate agent servicing the Washington metropolitan area. I started my career as an investor and later transitioned to the residential side. I really wanted to leave the investor side because I wanted to connect with people. Building relationships is important to me. I understand the buying and selling process can be challenging. I get it. I've been there. I'm a mom, wife, friend, and neighbor. I absolutely love helping families and connecting with people. Going through the home buying and selling process is stressful enough. When working with me, I make it fun. As a realtor, I think it's important to be able to connect with you. Every detail is important, no matter how small. Let me take care of the heavy lifting while you focus on the joys of finding a new home. Something I live by, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. With me, it's an experience.
All right, CeeLo, let's go with position grades with the. Let's start with defense first, right? Let's go with. Wait, this echo. Wait, this echo. What's that? Testing. Oh, maybe it's breeze. All right, there you go. All right. Welcome back. All right, position grades. Let's start with the defense and let's go defensive line. Now, how we want to do this? Do we want to go the tackles or do we want to go edge rushers separately or do you want to put them together? Because who knows these days? People put them together. They got them separate.
I think for the D line, I would say we should do it as a whole because these guys at least on our group, they move around a lot. Maybe we should just say D line and kind of as a unit.
All right, so give me your D line. What do you got?
Grade A to F.
A to F.
Man, I think it was A minus.
Okay.
A minus. I think they combined. Correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say they combined for over 25 sacks. I know we had. So I think we had Payne with 11.5, 12. We had Allen. I want to say he had 8. I think Tez had like 4. James Smith-Williams had like 3. So yeah, almost 25, 30 sacks. So I think as a unit, they really stepped up, man. They stopped the run. I want to say we were like number 4 in stopping the run. Number 5, and then for passing, well, that's a separate conversation, different group. But and they affected the pass, obviously. So I think overall, I only say A minus because when I consider an A plus or an A type of unit, I'm thinking about units that are getting up the field really fast and they create game-changing plays, turnovers, sacks in the opponent's side of the field, field position type plays, truly dominating type of offensive or defensive lines. And I don't think they're quite there yet. I think they have some pieces. Obviously, they're extremely talented, and then we're going to have Chase coming back. So from my perspective, they're just below that. So, but obviously, great year, man. They're the best unit on this team by far, in my opinion. And so, I think they had a really good year. So I'm giving them an A-.
All right, defensive line. DT, what grade you give him? CeeLo went A-. I also want to go A-. I think the way these guys stepped up, I think they left a lot on the field, especially with Sweat. He got a lot of pressures, a lot of knockdowns, but he couldn't finish a lot. The D tackles played out of this world. I think both of those guys made, of course, they made the Pro Bowl. Payne is an alternate, but he's playing. I think John Allen should have some All-Pro votes in there also. I think he should have. And then James Smith-Williams, I think he started slow, but I think he kind of picked it up to be that help, that extra piece to kind of help. Ridgeway was a home run. Like, we wasn't expecting him. It was like another draft pick. We have his draft rights, so we have 4 years with 3 more years of him. And then for Darian Mathis coming back, of course, he got hurt, I think, like on the first series, right? It was like his first series, pretty much, that he got in the game. And a couple other guys, so I'll go A- too. What about you, DT?
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna separate them a little bit, then put an overall grade. Defensive tackles, A+. Defensive ends.
So he's about to say C. I'm about to say, whoa.
Oh, no. Defensive ends, I'm gonna say an A, and overall, I'm gonna just say an A. I think this defensive line, it went back to the little bit of the form we saw in 2020, even without Chase Young. There's still some plays I wanted to see a little. I want to see a little bit more from the defensive ends and things like that. Hopefully, they get the off season. They can work on their hands and things like that. Sometimes their hands be a little bit too heavy when they go against offensive tackles, things like that. But the defensive tackles just balled out this year. Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, they showed up every single week. They did not want to get off the field. John Ridgeway was a great pickup on a rookie deal. Now you get to pair him up with Darian Mathis next year, things like that. You have a strong defensive core at that line.
Breezy. Go ahead.
One thing I was going to say was that they ended up combining just the D-line for 35 sacks. Montez Sweat himself, I gave him not enough credit. He had 8 sacks. I didn't realize that. So good season for Tez. So 35 sacks.
That's good. And I think that was 10th, right? I think they was ranked 10th
overall. But we had a couple other guys got sacks, like linebackers, and Cam Curran got a sack. So yeah,
true that.
But yeah, overall, I believe we're top 10 in sacks.
Breezy. We grading the defensive line. Oh man, what's going on?
He giving the long side.
Man. It's been a long evening, man. Good. Pardon my tardiness.
It's all good, man. You got a lot going on this week, man. We ain't gonna talk about it right here. We don't know where it's at right now. But when I tell y'all, look, y'all think we be joking when we say celebrity Breeze. Like, we're not just joking. Like, this dude is a celebrity, man. Like, real talk, man. What's good, Breeze, man? Defensive line, A through F.
Breeze was a special guest at the secret meeting earlier this week.
It said D-line A through. We doing the straight D-line, or we breaking it down?
Yeah, I mean, me and CeeLo put it together. DT always kind of go off script. He separate them, so however you want to do it.
We're gonna put I'll whatever. I'll put it together. If we're gonna group everybody together, go to B, a high B. If we're grouping everybody together, maybe B plus, maybe B plus.
Okay.
The D tackles, absolutely, they goes without saying with John Allen and Daron Payne for sure, and even Ridgeway and the whole interior did this year. The ends, obviously, we all know kind of what happened with Chase. Granted, when he did come back, he looked very serviceable, but he, 3 games. Sweat held up his end of the ball on the other end, and then kind of rotational pieces with Obata and Tony here and there, and James Smith Williams and everybody. It was all over the place. I'm gonna go with a high B for D.
I think that's good. I think that put us at like an A overall together for the defensive line. Let's go linebackers. And yeah, so let's start with Breeze. Linebackers, Breeze. Let's talk about it.
Ooh, so Jamin was pretty good this year, pretty decent.
Okay, I see you, DT. DT did the guy's little hit right.
Linebackers. I'm gonna go with a C minus.
Good night.
C minus for the linebackers. C minus for the linebackers.
For me,
C is average, right? C is average, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's average.
C minus is below average.
Yeah. So C minus. C minus.
For me, I think with Jamin Davis, he did start out slow and then he kind of improved, but I was still waiting for that breakout game. Like he never had that "this is who I am now" game, right? He still never had that. So I'm at a C plus when I look at Jamin as C plus individually, but everyone else is like a D minus. So I think that kind of puts me at a D also with the linebackers. So I'm gonna go D with the linebackers. DT.
Yeah, man. Really, it's kind of hard for me to judge the linebackers because it's kind of been like ins and out a little bit, especially with the Cole Holcomb injury. I'm not grading Mayo and Bostic. We already know what those types of guys are.
You got
really the only person to grade is really James.
They part of the linebackers.
Come on, man. We already know what these dudes are, man.
They part of the linebackers.
We already know what these dudes are, bro.
You gotta grade them.
All right, fine. All right. I'm like Breeze, yo. It's a C, and the main sticker is obviously Jamin. Like you guys said, Jamin definitely played better. He played with more confidence this year. He still haven't had that game where it was like, yeah, he's a first round pick. It's more like, okay, he's way improved. He getting like 8 tackles. He has 1 good coverage a game, and they rush him a little bit, but he hasn't had that signature moment in the NFL yet. I think we're still looking for that.
CeeLo, your video is froze, but it's this it's the way it's froze.
It fits so perfectly. It fits so perfectly though.
You did a screen grab, post that shit, put it in the chat, yeah.
Oh Lord.
All right.
I got it, bro. I got this.
CeeLo with linebackers.
I'm gonna go C. I'm gonna go C. Just based on the way that we play, the way that we utilize our backers, very small, very hard to really judge them like some of their peers around the league. Because I don't even want to look at, like, for example, the Ravens linebackers, right? Like what do they look like compared to ours? It's just not even fair. But I believe that Jamin Davis had a really solid year. I'm looking at his stats now. 16 games. He led the team 104 tackles. The next highest guy was Defoe, 3 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 1 pass defense. So, given his pedigree, where he was drafted, the change in position going from was it weak side or was it strong side then the middle? So I felt like he handled that pretty well. I like Cole Holcomb, but we didn't have enough. We didn't see enough of him. We all know that the linebacker core needs some help, needs some depth. But actually, I just feel like they held their part. They did what they were supposed to do. I expect more from Jamin. The part that I'm disappointed about Jamin is to be that fast and to be that athletic and his RAS score and all that stuff, man, I want this dude. He should be popping off the screen. And I still see him thinking too much. I still see him not really just reacting, knowing what's going to happen, and with the play calls. He seems a little slow to me to the ball, which to me feels like he has a little bit more ceiling to get to. So anyway, I say C.
And that's the thing. Like Jameis, like he thinks too much, and then Kiki don't think at all. Like if we can bring those two together and put them somewhere in the middle, maybe we can have us an elite linebacker, because Kiki was all over the place. Like he didn't care what was what. He was wherever the ball was. That's what he was. Assignment or not, that's what he was. You know what I mean?
That was the last game of the year. He ain't had nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cornerbacks, and we also going to count Bobby McCain, slap corner. We also going to put him in a conversation with the safety, so he's kind of like both positions. All right, so cornerbacks. For me, I think we saw some good things from BSJ. I don't think he had he wasn't on the field enough to kind of really put it together to say, yes, this can be our number one guy. I think he has the traits for it. Of course, he missed most of all last year. He missed about 6 games this year, maybe somewhere around there. So he's kind of got that injury thing on him right now. So hopefully he can kind of put everything together next year, because they're going to be expecting a lot from him next year. I think Fuller, he seems like he always has a good year. I mean, he gets beat kind of in between games, and it looks really bad. But when you look up his stats and you look up different things, it's like he's like one of the top corners. And I just can't, he's quiet. I just like, man, we need to get rid of him. But then when you look at the tape, you're like, nah, we got to keep this dude. You know what I mean? So I think overall, I think Wild Goose, he came in at a certain point. He kind of got cooked. Then he had some good games, and he got cooked again. The same thing with Holmes. Danny Johnson got cooked early. He came back, did pretty well to kind of end the season. So I don't know, man. I think overall, I'm around like a B- for these guys. I think what we've seen from them, I think that can be a strong position for us. I still think we need to add Joey Porter, PJ, a sandwich to the team. We need to get them in here, and that'll really solidify those cornerbacks. But Breeze, cornerbacks, who you got, man?
I kind of agree with you, man. If I had to grade him individually, like BSJ, I would have to give him like an incomplete. When he was on the field, he was productive a lot, but he just, having him available was a big thing for him. Kendall, just looking at it, like you said, you see him get beat, you see him get burned. It's like, dog, this dude is trash. He getting smoked. And then, like you said, you pull his stats up, or even every once in a while, he'll have a whole game, and he's like locked down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so Kendall's probably like a B. Bobby McCain actually, to me, did a much better job in the slot than he did at safety. Not elite or great by any means, but he was still good, serviceable, maybe enough to warrant them trying to keep him around next year. Holmes, kind of hit or miss. Danny Johnson, I'm with you, probably C plus, B minus, man. There's, still room to improve. A lot of room to improve.
What you got, DT?
Yeah. So, looking at the cornerback room, that was another question we had earlier in the season, and I think we got a couple of answers at the end of the season. I think St. Juice, he showed he can play the outside when given the opportunity. He has flash, like you said, Deuce. He actually had some interceptions that got taken away by penalties because of a little bit aggressive play. But I think another year of growth in that position, you'll see him snagging and things like that, and he'll fall in number one receiver. Him playing against Jay Jetta, even though Jay Jetta got his, when you look at the entire tape and look at the entire game, like he stepped up to the challenge. Like he stepped up to the challenge, and then you got Kendall Fuller, and he for some reason, man, like he always starts the season slow, but as the defense starts to grow and get better, he starts to grow and get better. and he's not that old of a player, right? Like he's like what 28 or something like that.
28, 29, or something like that.
And then you got
Kendall.
Danny Johnson, a guy who we were kind of dogging early.
Because he was getting cooked.
Okay, yeah, that's not bad, man. But Danny Johnson, that's a guy. He was getting cooked early in the training camp and things like that. But once he got his opportunity, he showed he can play. And then you got the younger guys like Wild Goose, Christian Holmes. It was sometimes they made some plays. There were some times they looked like rookies and young players out there. And even we picked up Castro Fields from the 49ers. That's a guy I cannot wait for all season to see what he can do in the cornerback room. But I still think we need another guy at that position. So I'll go with B-. I think they played way better than last year, especially after the William Jackson III trade.
What about you, CeeLo?
Yeah, I'm right there at about a B-. They ended up number 4 in terms of yards given up in the league. They had 9 interceptions total in that back end. I think Defoe had 4. So we just talking corners. That kind of that eliminates that. I want to say Fuller had 2 pick sixes, which is pretty big deal. So I agree with everything y'all said, man. I like the cornerback room and the potential. I'm just still waiting to see Benjamin St-Juste and his kind of breakout kind of season or year, given the health and putting it all together. We have a lot of talented wide receivers in the league right now. So being a corner in this league is really difficult. And so I just think that the more he plays, the better he'll become. But so far, and it's hard for me to grade them lower than that because we still ended up pretty good overall as a defense, and they kind of work hand in hand, defensive line and DBs. So I'm gonna say a B minus as a whole. I want them to create more turnovers. That's where they need to kind of work on that, which is kind of hard to work on. Turnovers just kind of happen, but just be a little bit quicker to the ball. They need to Jack Del Rio plays a lot of zones, so it's kind of tough to to look at certain skill sets depending on the guy. But right now, I think I'll say B minus.
Safeties. I think we have that kind of I think we have that tandem. Hopefully, what's going on with this team and ownership and cash flow problems and all that other stuff won't hinder the re-signing of Cam Curl to really keep these guys together for a few more years at least. But for those guys and especially Curl, it seems like Curl means so much to this team, to the front 7, to the back 4. He means so much. I think he means a lot to Defoe also. Because when Curl went hurt, Defoe had a couple bad games, man, taking bad angles, not in position. Because he didn't have, for what I believe, Curl back there to kind of help him, kind of make sure he was in the right position. But from what I saw from him, makes me think like he's going to be, a very good player in this league. Some of the things that he was doing, I haven't seen since. I ain't gonna say the person's name, but I haven't seen it in a long time from that safety position. So for them, I'll be real generous. I'm gonna give that safety position a A. And those guys pretty much played. Well, not Curl, but Forrest pretty much played the whole year, even though he didn't start the whole year. And them being able to get Revo in there, played some. Percy kind of grew. He played some snaps. So I'm going to give that tandem a A for the safeties. What about you, DT?
Man, I agree with you, man. I think it's been such a long time since we've seen like great play from the safeties. We knew we had Cam Curl when we drafted him in 2020. Even him playing behind guys like Landon Collins and Troy Aki, things like that. He got an opportunity now. He's shining in the moment. He's shining in the moment right now. But now you got another young guy in Derek Forrest who was injured last year, just like St-Juste. But when he got his opportunity to play things like that, he just consistently flashed. He showed a physicality that we haven't seen back there in a while. And when you had him and Cam Curl just back there, I did not get nervous when people were throwing deep. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Like, it's been so long that we had good safety play where it's like if they're throwing the deep pass, I'm like, I'm not nervous. I'm not nervous. Nobody's getting burned right now. They got this. They got this in hand because I know these guys communicate and things like that. Even Bobby McCain. I know Bobby McCain. He missed some tackles and there, but he's a solid starter. Like he'll get some plays and things like that. He's very intelligent. He knows what he needs to do on defense. And Jeremy Reeves. Shout out to Jeremy Reeves. Not only getting playing time and showing what he can do as a backup, but him getting all pro and a Pro Bowl nod this year. And I love the safety room, man, to go with this defense.
What about you, CeeLo?
Yeah, I'm about there. A, B plus A. I really do. I like DT's point about special teams. These guys can play special teams, man. These were really, really solid in the special teams game. And so I was really happy to see that. So the only, to say to everyone said everything positive. I'm going to one area to improve upon. I think he kind of got a little bit exposed against San Francisco and a little bit against the Cleveland Browns. And what I mean by that is, Defoe, I think he's going to, one thing he's going to have to work on a little bit is his eyes and how he's able to respond. So he seems to really focus on the running game a lot. Mm-hmm. And so he took either a bad angle or just got blown past. He just wasn't there to be the last line of defense. So I would love to see him continue to improve from that perspective. But solid room, excellent room. I'm really happy. The same guy, Defoe, led the team in interceptions. So can't be too mad at that. So I'm cool with that room and where they're going.
What about you, Breeze?
I love this safety room. I mean, Jeremy Reeves, I don't know, I can't explain it, but he's been one of my favorite players since he got here with Jay Gruden. It's weird. But to see where he's at, the work that he put in this year, I mean, his production is at more so on special teams, but obviously in the safety room too. Like he's there. Cam Curl and Defoe, I mean, we saw what Cam Curl meant to this defense when he wasn't available, when he wasn't there. And the thing about Defoe that I really love and that gives me a lot of hope for the future is that if I'm not mistaken, I don't think Defoe played a regular season snap last year. I think he got hurt in preseason or the first game of the year. So for all intents and purposes, this was his
him and
BSJ.
Him and BSJ.
Yeah. So this was really like their rookie years on the field for especially for. I know BSJ got a little bit of bump last year, but he got hurt off and on. They put him on IR, but you know what I mean, like. If we're being honest, it's still a fairly young and inexperienced secondary. And they still performed better than any of us thought they would. And the only reason I'm going to bump the grade down is because, in my opinion, Bobby McCain is god-awful at safety. So I got to take some points away from that. He cool with me in the nickel. He cannot be back there playing deep half, deep third quarters, none of that. He got to be in the box, in the nickel, whatever. But I'm gonna give him a B plus though. But I love the safety group though, and of course Percy too, man. Like it's a really young group. And I like that for the development moving forward.
All right, so we got to go over specials. So defensive specials is the kickoff team, the punt team, and I think the field goal defense. I want to grade them. I think the coverage was really good. I'm gonna give them an A. I ain't got time to spend a lot of time on special teams.
Yeah.
I guess special teams.
Yeah. It's a Trustway alone. Hey.
What you got, D?
Your favorite one. What about your favorite one, Deuce?
Who?
Slide. Joey Slide. What would you give Joey?
But that's offense.
That's offense.
Okay.
That's offense. Hold on. That's offense, DT. That's offense. This defense.
I was excited.
This defense, special teams. This defense.
I'm gonna say A. I'm gonna say A as well.
All right.
Yeah, I don't recall us getting. We didn't give up any kickoff returns or punt returns for touchdowns.
Did we give up one?
Give him an A.
Did we give up one?
I feel like we might have gave up.
I think we gave
one
up either a
somewhere
punt
like
return or
earlier.
a kick return. I don't know. Maybe
I
somebody.
don't think it was.
can
I
tell
think
me.
we gave up. Might have gave up a punt.
I
I
don't
don't know,
remember.
but
Yeah, I don't remember. All right, on the other side of this, we're going to get into position grades for the offense, and we're going to start with DT because let's just go ahead and get this special teams out the way, and we're going to come back with DT.
The calendar says that summer is ending soon, but we're still outside. So when it's time to hop in your ride, make sure you book the best mobile detailing service in the DMV, Miles Detailing. Call 240-273-4018 or contact on Instagram at Miles Detailing to book your service today. Mention Red Zone in the Lab podcast for 10% off detail services only. Ride in style with Miles Detailing, that is.
All right, good show today, fellas. So, again, so for now, unless something major happens, we're going to be bringing this show once a week, at least for the next couple of weeks until maybe after the Super Bowl, unless we get an offensive coordinator or something during the week, and then we'll definitely come back. This is part 1 of part 2 for position grades. Today we did the defense first. Didn't look too good. Hopefully the offense looks a little bit better. But just think about how close we are to these teams in the playoffs. Are we really as close as we think that we are? So thank you again, DT, CeeLo, Breeze. Let's get back to this Cowboy game. Appreciate all of you that's out there. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!